السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. حياكم الله. أهلا وسهلا مرحبا. كيف حالكم جميعا؟ How's everyone doing? Hope everyone's doing fine إن شاء الله. Good. بارك الله فيكم. حياكم الله. آه نعم. So بسم الله الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه بعد. Hope all of you can hear me properly. So yeah, sorry for the late class today. I would have started earlier, but earlier um, I was invited, me and my dear brother Abdul Hamid, we were invited to this TV program, one of the prominent Saudi channels. Alhamdulillah, went great. I've posted the post on the channel, inshallah, if you guys want to watch it. It was about the Arkan of Al-Islam, Arkan of Al-Iman. على أي حال, continuing with what we were doing, of course, you must have kept up to date with some of the developments and announcements in the WhatsApp groups. I've posted the review sheets after a lot of hard work, and they're not really perfect. I was looking to at least make the pages the same size, so the pages are different sizes. But I thought I'd rather post something that's not perfect on time, or it's all late anyway, but rather on time and when you need it, than something perfect that is late. And inshallah ta'ala, of course, in future challenges will improve those things. Also, of course, like I've announced in the group as well, we're really stretched thin, mainly because one of the key members of the team was sick earlier and now he's traveling. And only now do I realize how much work he actually does. you know, he used to help me with a lot of things, and only now do I realize really the sort of work that he does. And that's why we put out a post on the group mentioning how we're looking to expand the team, inshallah. So anyone who's interested in joining the Upskill Arabic team, of course, we don't have many positions at this moment in time, but do apply, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, we already received like over 100, almost I think 100. Last time I checked was 120 applications, and a few other applications that were incomplete, but keep them coming, inshallah, and hopefully we will contact those candidates that are the best for the position. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go over, of course, the guided expression exercises for day 8. No, sorry, day 5. That's why we start with day 8. Now we've posted day 5, and we're also going to go over some examples of day 6, which then you can work on from tomorrow, inshallah. Then we'll do day 7. By that time, the quiz should be out. And of course, like we also mentioned, the grammar challenge has been postponed. It will be next week, Saturday. So that gives us another week of doing the guide expression exercises, a week of revision. Gives us more time to post the actual quiz because, again, like I said, I can't do it by myself. So the brother should be arriving sometime soon, and he should be able to work again soon. So we should be able to post that quiz. Now, so regarding the guided expression exercises for day 5, then of course we said that there's a new approach. This new approach, instead of actually writing the words all by yourself, you are tasked with just clicking on the word and correcting it. So we had a few messages from some people saying something like, Ustad, I can't find a way, I can't figure out where to write. But we already explained that. Okay, we explained that you need to click on the word, and then make the necessary corrections. Okay, so the first question was, Khalid goes to a far place by train to study medicine. So that's the English, right? And these are the words that you have. ذهب خالد إلى مكان بعيد قطار دراسة طب. So you need to click on every word and then change it. So Khalid goes to a far place. Okay, that sounds like what? That sounds like a present tense, not a past tense. So we can't have dhaba. So we need to change that to present tense. We need to say يذهب. يذهب. Khalidun stays the same. إلى مكان stays the same. بعيد. So this stays the same because we said a far place, which means it's indefinite. So we don't add alif lam. So some of you, of course, have added alif lam. You'll find in some of the answers إلى المكان البعيد or something like that. Okay, like we don't add alif lam. Or even some of you wrote al Khalid. It's not al Khalid. Khalid itself is a proper noun. It is already definite. Okay. إلى مكان بعيد. Okay, and then here now you have to add this word, which if you, I don't know if you've noticed, but in the English translation, any words that are not included here because they are either connected to the word, those words that are connected to a word that are not standalone words, I don't include them. You have to add those by connecting them to the word. So we have bil qitar, bil qitar. Okay, written like this. I know the writing is probably really, really small. Okay, so bil qitar. So ba followed by alif lam. So some of you wrote bil qitar, but you misspelled it. Some wrote biqitarin, which doesn't make sense. It doesn't go by any train. It goes by train. We're talking about generally speaking, the mode of transport. We're not trying to say that he takes any train to work. No, he goes there by train. So in Arabic, and I've said this before, and I'll keep on repeating it, and pay attention to it. It's going to come in handy very soon. In Arabic, you write the alif lam. I mean, get yourself in the habit of writing the alif lam by default. And only get rid of the alif lam if you see within the sentence something that shows you that it's indefinite, such as the word or an. So if I said, for example, Khalid goes to a far place by a train, then you would get rid of the alif lam. And this is where a lot of people they go wrong. They think that the default is no alif lam. And they only write the alif lam when the English says the. Okay? No, that's not how it is. You should write the alif lam by default. There is one exception to that, which is if the word is mudaf. If the word is mudaf and it is in the construct of mudaf state, whereby it's two words that go together, like we mentioned many times before, that association between two words, then you wouldn't write alif lam on the first word if the second word has alif lam. Okay, because it's considered to be like one word. You wouldn't repeat the twice. So, for example, you would say the messenger of Allah. You wouldn't say the messenger of, or you would say, for example, the teacher's book. You wouldn't say, for example, the teacher, the book. No, the teacher's book. Okay, it's like one word. And that's what we have here. Dirasat at-tib. So it says here what? To study medicine. Khalid goes to a far place by train. Why? To li. So you have to add the li. And then dirasa, which is study, at-tib with alif lam. Why do we say لدراسة الطب? Why don't we say لدراسة طب? Why don't we keep it indefinite? Because just like I told you a minute ago, when we're speaking about something, generally speaking, we add alif lam. We're talking about the jinns, medicine as a field. We add an alif lam. And this is, my dear brothers and sisters, where a lot of people, they go wrong. Of course, I don't want this to turn into a I don't want this to turn into a full-on grammar explanation. Okay, however, please pay attention to this. Okay, I'm not seeing what you're doing on the screen. Okay, sorry about that. I thought I had shared. Let me share the whole window instead. Okay, the problem with sharing the whole window is you're going to get these. All right, I wasn't writing anything actually. I was just going over the answers. Okay, so here we have I was saying that's where a lot of people go wrong. Where do they go wrong? They go wrong in their in the misconception, or they thought that alif lam in Arabic only means the. No, it doesn't. The alif lam in Arabic, al, has many meanings. It doesn't just mean the. So a lot of people, they think, oh, if I see in the English the, or if I'm trying to say something that would have the definite article the, then I need to write the alif lam. And if the is not there, then I need to not write the alif lam. No. So for example here, يذهب خالد إلى مكان بعيد بالقطار لدراسة الطب, to study medicine. So why does الطب here have alif lam? Is because this is called the al للجنس. Is the al for the actual category of that word itself, that category of medicine. Like for example, if I were to say أحب القراءة, I love reading. I love reading. Al-qira'ah, the act of reading, that category of the act, which is part of that category, that's what I like. So in that kind of situation, al doesn't mean the. Okay, is what we call alif lam lil jins. It's a bit difficult to probably explain in English, but the point is, we're talking about that field of medicine. We're talking about that hobby of reading. Okay, so it is kind of something specific. That's why it has alif lam. But it's not the definite article. We don't say, I love the reading, or he goes to a far place by train for the study of medicine. No. Or to study the medicine. No. We don't use the, because that meaning of alif lam is not the. Alif lam has got many meanings. One of the meanings of alif lam, al, also means all. Such as when we say Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. I'm sure you're aware that in English it is translated to all praise be due to Allah. Now you might think to yourself, where does it say all? It doesn't say Kullu Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Where did these translators get all from? We got it because the al in Alhamdu is called al lil istighraq. It is al for encompassing everything. So that's one of the meanings of al, alif lam. So that's why it's translated to mean all praises due to Allah. Wow, there. So again, one of the biggest issues that students struggle with that are new to learning the Arabic language, in my experience, is this whole concept of using alif lam or definite or indefinite. And it makes a major difference. I'm sure that you appreciate that now when you're put under the spot and when you are made to write sentences. Now you are much more conscious about where you put alif lam and where you don't. You might still be wrong. You might not still get it right, but at least you're thinking about it now. And that's the first step, inshallah ta'ala, towards noticing a pattern and towards mastering this concept, inshallah ta'ala. So awareness is really the goal of this particular challenge. And then, inshallah, once we do the grammar challenge or in your future endeavors of learning the language, the objective would be mastery. So we don't start with mastery, we start with awareness first and foremost. Be aware of these different intricacies in grammar, and then we can work on improving them, inshallah, and becoming better at them. So here as well, ذهب, some of you kept it as a past tense when it clearly says that Khalid goes to a far place. It didn't say Khalid went to a far place. Went would be past tense. So this goes is not a past tense. This is fi'l mudari'. But of course, in English, they have 8 different tenses of verbs. Arabic, that's not the case. Okay? I mean, it might have the same similar tenses, but they don't have different names for it in Arabic. In Arabic, you have madi, mudari', amr, intayna. Okay? So this would be mudari'. Now, that's why past tense would normally be the past perfect, as in you would only use the past tense if it really means it happened in the past tense. And for the most part, there are exceptions, of course, but that's when you would use dhahaba. which would translate to went. طيب. And a few other mistakes, of course. بالقطار, some of you didn't write the alif lam, some of you did, some of you forgot the B. للدراسة, some of you wrote للدراسة الطب. That's an age-old mistake that I told you many times. مضاف مضاف إليه. Do not add alif lam to the مضاف. That's something you need to remember. Okay. Some here wrote أدرس الطب. Of course, that is very, very wrong, because we are talking about the study of medicine, as in the actual concept, as opposed to saying أدرس الطب, I am studying medicine. How can you say أدرس الطب when you're actually talking about Khalid? It doesn't even make sense. All right. وهكذا. Those were some of the common mistakes. When we go to stage two, there are more mistakes as well, obviously, that we can address, inshallah. But those were the main ones. Of course, there are many more questions. We had 4 questions in total this time. Like I said, with this new approach, we can ask more questions because there's no manual grading for every single question. I know someone said in the comments that they did not receive their graded assignment back yet. The assignment has been graded. I just didn't get a chance to review it. But the teacher has graded it and he's made the corrections. Normally, the other brother who's been working on this with me for a long time, who better understands how to do these sort of things, he would have normally reviewed it and returned it. But like I said, he's traveling and I did not get a chance to review it. So instead of returning an assignment to you that has not been reviewed and getting tons of emails, you know, complaining, I decided to just wait until I get the chance to review it, inshallah, and then return it. So here we have a sentence that says, why were you absent from the mathematics lesson on Thursday, oh Khadija? Okay, now here, I'll tell you straight up the first mistake that most people will make, which is agreement. Okay, so this sentence is someone talking to Khadija. So what do we call that? We call that second person female. Okay, مخاطبة. It's the person you're talking to and happens to be a female. So when we have a verb here, now, تغيب, which normally means third person male, there's going to be a lot of changes. There's going to be changes here to account for, number one, the fact that it's not third person anymore. It is second person. And also for the fact that now you are actually talking to a female and not a male. So that's why the correct answer would be لماذا تغيبتِ. Now, of course, I told you not to add the harakat, so you should have just wrote تغيبت without the kasrah, but it would be pronounced as لماذا تغيبتِ. Okay, of course, that's where a lot of mistakes happened. Some of you kept it as تغيب. Some of you wrote it as present tense, which is still wrong the way they wrote it, تغيبين, but is not present tense. It is clearly past tense. لماذا? Why were you absent? That's past tense. So you shouldn't be using present tense. And this is one of the biggest benefits, by the way, of this exercise, right? You have to really use your critical thinking skills here. You have to really understand the sentence in English and then have a good grasp of how to translate that to Arabic if you like. And by the way, let me tell you this. Going from Arabic to English is far easier than going from English to Arabic. If I had given you guys the actual Arabic sentence, لماذا تغيبت عن حصة الرياضيات يوم الخميس يا خديجة, and I told you to translate it to English, probably many more of you would have got it right. Okay? But of course, like we said, it's about the target language. We're here to teach Arabic, so why would we write English? Everything we do as part of this challenge and grammar and the way you should learn Arabic is that you should always produce in the target language, not in your mother tongue. Okay, because you already know that. عن حصة الرياضيات with ألف لام. Again, same mistake. Alif lam. But this is easier because it actually says the mathematics lesson. So you don't really have an excuse there. الرياضيات. Of course, حصة doesn't have alif lam because مضاف. الرياضيات is مضاف إليه. Like I said, when you have two words like that are mudaf mudaf ilayh, the first one does not have alif lam. If you do add an alif lam to the first one, then we said it's gonna mean what? Sifa and mawsuf. It's gonna be an adjective. Okay, and so on and so forth. Of course, a few other mistakes as well, such as fi yawm al khamis. Okay, now this one, if it wasn't for the fact that I clearly tell you that in this sort of exercise you should not add extra words, at least in stage one. Stage two, you're allowed to add extra words. But stage one, every single word that you need is here, with one exception, which are those words that are already connected to another word. Those I don't write. Those that are already connected, attached to a main word, to a noun or a verb, I don't write them, such as pronouns and some of the prepositions, such as ba or li. However, when you write fi yawm al khamis, if that was considered to be correct, then fi would have been written here. Okay, so why did we not write fi? Why did we say لماذا تغيبت عن حصة الرياضيات يوم الخميس and not في يوم الخميس? Isn't it, why were you absent from the mathematics lesson on Thursday, as in Thursday, يعني that day? Well, correct. But in Arabic, we have something called ظرف, which we call, it's an adverb, locational adverb or time adverb. In other words, those words that denote specific times or specific places. Now, these words, they have the meaning of fi, as in the meaning actually is fi yawm al khamis. But what Arabs they do is they get rid of the fi and they put a fatha on that word. So it becomes yawm al khamis. تحت الأرض, below the earth. فوق السماء, above the sky. فوق السماء, which actually means في فوق السماء. Okay? واضح? So that's something called ضرب. We haven't studied it, but again, everything that I'm explaining to you now we haven't studied, but I just wanted you to make the mistakes before I explain. And we'll learn that in the grammar challenge, inshallah. So again, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, you've never heard of ظرف in your life, no problem. You're not expected to have. Okay? طيب, the next one, Muhammad and Umar started studying in the university close to their house. Okay, this is a very interesting one. Okay, and mashallah, I'm actually quite impressed. Of course, the score is very, very low compared to the previous question. Okay, but I'm still impressed with those of you that actually got it right. Why am I impressed? Mainly because of the last word over here. Okay, this was a real test of your pronouns. Because now we have Muhammad and Umar, two people, started studying in the university close to their house. Okay. Now, their house over here, it should be بيتهما. بيتهما. And here we have the word there, which is red. Like I told you, red words means they are attached to one of the words. So this is a pronoun which is attached to bait, their house. And it's not the there in English that you're familiar with, which means 2 or 3 or whatever, 2 plus. In Arabic, there means it depends. It could be 2 or it could be 3 plus, 3 and 3 plus. In other words, the dual, the muthanna, we call it in Arabic muthanna, have their own pronoun. So it's not baytihim, it's not plural. Neither is a singular min baytihi. Rather is min baytihima. Their, or them two, their house. واضح? Because it's two people. So that was really the trick part of this question, which, as you can see, mashallah, quite a lot of you got it right. Quite a lot of you got it right, alhamdulillah. Mumtaz. But then you also have another, I would say, it's not really a trick question if you learned grammar, but it is easy for some of you to get wrong, even though not many of you got it wrong, to be honest, which is that bada'a is singular. It's not bada'a. It's not bada'a Muhammad or Umar. Maybe you haven't thought of that, but that's a common mistake, which is making this, adding the dual sign to this to make the verb dual, while you already have the actual fa'il mentioned here, or the actual names themselves. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, that indeed the believers are successful. Allah didn't say قَدْ أَفْلَحُوا, as in أفلحوا, which is plural, because mu'minun is plural. Now there's a reason for that, beyond the scope of this explanation, but there's a reason why this is bada'a and not bada'a. And to give it to you in as a concise way as possible, if bada'a came after Muhammad and Umar, it would have been bada'a. It would have been Muhammadun wa Umaru bada'a ad-dirasata. It would have been bada'a with an alif. But because it came before Muhammad and Umar, it's not. Why is that the case? There's a very logical explanation for that, but that's beyond the scope of this course. We'll explain that in the grammar challenge, inshallah. And then the final one is, what are you writing in the notebook, oh my sister? Again, very challenging when it comes to the verb. So this is a major test of your verb conjugation. And that's where, of course, most of you got it wrong. The verb conjugation, as you can see. ماذا كتبت, ماذا تكتبي, ماذا تكتب. لا, all of that is wrong. It should be ماذا تكتبين. 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 Why? Because it is second person, female. Okay, so we say تكتبين. Why is it تكتبين? If you don't know, you don't know. You'll be taught in the grammar challenge. ماذا تكتبين في الدفتر يا أختي. That's another thing you have to pay attention to as well. أختي has to have a ya at the end. Okay? Now, some of you got it wrong because you didn't write the question mark, but I'll give you that mark, no problem. If he has marked you as wrong because you're missing the question mark, I'll give you it, but you should be writing the question mark because you can clearly see that this is actually a question. Okay? And that's most of you, that's why you got it wrong. Okay? Because you didn't add the question mark. Okay, so even here as you can see أختي, but there's actually a spelling mistake there. That person wrote أختي with a alif maqsoor instead of a ya. Anyway, طيب. So those were the questions. I don't need to go over them in terms of stage 2 because of course stage 2 is much more open. We're going to get a lot of different answers. So now we're going to do inshallah is we're going to practice quickly and have a go at some of the examples that we have for tomorrow's assignment, stage 1. Okay, tomorrow's assignment for stage 1. So are you guys ready for that? Let me share the link with you. So join one woo clap where you can answer the question, inshallah. Will we get our results back today, inshallah? Wallahi, my dear brother, it's really late for me. It's 11:30 over here. I left my house Fajr. And I just literally got back. Didn't even get much time to spend with the kids. They're probably going to be asleep by the time I'm done anyway. But yeah, not today. I'll be honest, not today, but I'll try my best to review it and get back to you tomorrow, inshallah. Which should be early morning for you, or if you're in America, it's probably today. Okay, but it's not today for me, basically. Right. Okay, so if you guys are on a WooClap, this time on WooClap, it's slightly different what you're meant to do. I mean, it's the same thing, but I'm helping you out a little bit by having included the words. So what you can do is you can just copy and paste these words and make the necessary changes. Or if you just want to write the sentence, from scratch by yourself, no problem. So here we have the words. The meaning of the sentence you should write is, the other seller has some cheap umbrellas. So you have ba'i', you have akhar, you have lada, okay? Ba'i', seller, akhar, other, lada, has. Of course, may pay attention to how to use this word, by the way, as it's a function word that is used in a specific way. Ba'd, which means some, midallah, umbrella, and then rakhis, which means cheap. These are the words, these are all of the words that you need. They're in the correct order. All I need you to do is pay attention to, like I said, two things: agreement, agreement. Okay, pay attention to agreement, which again is in either one of three things, I would say, because the fourth thing is not relevant here. We don't write the harakat. Three things: number, if it's singular, dual, or plural; gender, if it's masculine or feminine; and definiteness. Definiteness. So those words that follow other words, yes, make sure they agree in those things. Now, which words are the head nouns or the head verbs, and the head nouns, which ones are the main words, which ones are the ones that follow? Then, of course, there is something to be learned in grammar, but for the most part, in terms of the words that we normally have, the categories that we have, these words, the sifat or the adjectives, are normally the ones that follow. And the that or the shakhs, the person or the object, are normally the head nouns. They normally set the pace. And then they're followed by the sifa. The sifa follows it. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, now this agreement is not always perfect agreement. Sometimes there are exceptions to that rule. So remember those exceptions as well. The exceptions are not many, but they need to be remembered. Okay, now please, Ustad, what's mudaf and mudaf ilayhi in English? Wallahi, there is no one translation for that. And some of the translations are outright hilarious, outrageous, and ridiculous. Okay, such as the famous "the possessor and the possessed." That's a crazy translation. Not just is it a crazy translation for the actual impression it gives or the meaning that it entails when an average person listens to you, but it's also wrong because mudaf mudaf ilayh does not always denote possession. As a matter of fact, possession is one of the lesser used meanings of mudaf mudaf ilayh. It's one of the meanings. You can say, for example, هذا كتاب Muhammad, this Muhammad's book, which shows you possession, but a lot of times mudaf mudaf ilayh is not used to denote possession, rather is used to denote an association between two words. And I've told you this before and I'll keep on telling you, but it's not something that I said again can be delivered in this particular challenge or these exercise that we're doing. But mudaf mudaf ilayh is something that we use to specify a word. Very simple. And the best example I can give you is, for example, kitab. Kitab. Look, this, barakallah fikum, this is the kitab. Okay? This is the kitab. Okay? قاعدة في المحبة. Beautiful book by Shaykh Islam ibn Taymiyyah. One of the Mashaykh gifted me this book. So that's a book, right? Now, but there are many books in the world. Now, let me show you another book. Okay? This is also a book, right? This is also a book. Okay? But let me tell you this. There's a major difference between these two books. Major difference. One of them I can read anytime. The other one I can only read in a specific state. One anybody can touch. The other one you should have wudu before you can touch it. Those are some of the small differences. But the biggest difference is what? Who can tell me? And that will show you the meaning of mudaf ilayh. Okay, so if you have these two books, All right. And if you don't know what this book is, let me open it for you. Okay. All right. You have this book. Can you see it? All right. And then you have this book. All right. Now, I said to you some of the differences in terms of you can touch this one anytime. This one you need to do for. But if you really want to know the biggest difference, what would you call this book? What would you call this book? Kabir and Saghir? Nah, that's not the biggest difference. I can get you a similar book, as in a book that has the same contents that is 3 times this size. That's not the biggest book. That's not the biggest difference. Who can tell me the biggest difference? One is more sacred than the other, so it requires purification. Yeah, okay, fine. Aywa ahsant. Nah. This is Kitabullah. And this is Kitab Shaykh Islam Ibn Taymiyyah. That's the difference. واضح؟ Kitabullah. Kitab Shaykh Islam Ibn Taymiyyah. You see? So now, when I'm saying this, I'm not talking about possession. Everything belongs to Allah. I belong to Allah. The book belongs to Allah. The hands I'm using to show you this book belongs to Allah. The laptop I'm using belongs to Allah. You belong to Allah who's watching me. So it's not just showing possession. Mudaf mudaf is not about possession. Mudaf mudaf ilayh is about specifying something. You have something very general as the word book. But when you want to be really, really specific, yes, then associate that book with a very narrow noun, or with a noun that is very specific. And what's more specific and unique than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the name of Allah? So now you only have one. There's only one Kitabullah in this world, yani in our era, that is from Allah completely, which is the Quran. Okay, so this is mudaf mudaf ilayh. Please change your understanding and the way you think of mudaf mudaf ilayh. If you think that mudaf mudaf ilayh only for possession, then your usage of mudaf mudaf ilayh is going to be very limited. Again, let me repeat it. You have a very general noun, and now you want to specify it. What's the best way to specify it? By associating that noun with another noun that is very specific. Okay? So the examples are many. You have alam, for example, alam, pain. Okay? So you go to the doctor, you say to him, Indi alam. I've got pain. Sah? Alright, so if the doctor says to you, what kind of pain do you have? How do you specify it? You're going to specify it and you're going to mention to him what kind of pain you have by associating it with a specific part of your body using another noun. You're going to say, Indi alamul ras. I've got a headache, for example. It means suda', but you can also say alamul ras, right? And so on and so forth. واضح؟ طيب. Let's look at your answers. Got a little bit carried away there. Okay. So one of the correct answers I saw at the beginning, mashallah, here we go. البائع الآخر لديه بعض المظلات الرخيصة. Now you only made one mistake here, which is you didn't add the shadda over here. So I don't think the system will mark it as correct. But I'll tell you you're correct. Just don't forget to add the shadda, because the shadda is part of the word. Shadda, other than the shadda which comes after alif lam, like I said, the shadda of shamsiyah, any other shadda is part of the word. You don't write it, someone might read it as a different word. Okay, I might read this as madhalat or something. La, madhalat has to have a shadda. Okay, طيب. بائعة آخرة. I don't know why you made it feminine. Okay, if it was feminine, you would have said البائعة الأخرى, not آخرة, or would be fine. But I don't know why you made it بائعة with a ha at the end here, which I think maybe you meant ta marbut, I don't know. لديه بعضه, you're adding a ha to everything. And a hamza in between. I don't know, something went wrong there. البائع الآخر لدى بعض المظلة الرخيصة. So here you have two mistakes that I expected to happen. Very predictable. Number one, I did say to you clearly that lada is used in a certain way. When you want to use the word lada, it has to be used as mudaf mudaf ilayh. Okay, and for the most part, the mudaf ilayh is going to be a pronoun. So it has to return back to the bai'. You have to look at this word and then use a pronoun that is suitable for it. Ladayhi, he has. And that's why even some Arabs, they speak like that. And now you know why. So an Arab would say this kind of sentence, he probably would have said something like the other seller, he has some cheap umbrellas. He has some cheap umbrellas. Why is he saying he has? Because he is part of the actual has in Arabic, لديه. Okay? طيب بعض المظلات الرخيصة. البائع الآخر لدى same thing. Okay, the second mistake is مظلات plural. We said umbrellas. That's a plural word. So you have to say مظلات. واضح? Let's see how many of you got it right. 11%. Not bad. Not bad, especially if we consider that some of you maybe you are small tiny mistakes such as forgetting the shadda or similar. So that's actually a very good attempt. Barakallah fikum. Okay? All right, we have one more. Bismillah. We have one more and then we're done. Oh no, don't tell me. Oh, sorry, I didn't change the. Let me change the image. One moment, please. I don't want you to see the answer. Just one moment. I didn't upload the correct image. Bismillah. Okay, Bismillah. There we go. Type. How much did the landlord request for the rental? Or I could have just said for rent. But I decided to stick with the meaning or the actual word used here. But I could have just said request for rent. Okay, that's just to help you really. For the rental of the big showroom for a year. Okay, so how much did the landlord request for the rental of the big showroom for a year? So we have كم, طلبة, we have مؤجر, we have تأجير, we have معرض, we have كبير, we have عام, we have واحد. Again, your job is grammatical. Bismillah. Pay attention to, again, like I said, agreement. Agreement. Masculine, feminine. Is it singular, dual, or plural? Is it definite or indefinite? And of course, pay attention as well to the verb conjugation. And pay attention to, yeah, those are the main things really. Okay? And of course, pay attention as well to the correct huruf to use. Now, one harf right now that is not written over here because it's joined to a word is this one, for. And that's why it's in red. So I'm kind of giving you a heads up. When I put a word in red, I'm giving you a heads up saying to you, hey, this word is not there in the list of words. So make sure you account for it. Type. Now I didn't use here any complicated verb conjugations or complicated usages of pronouns and the likes. Not for this example. But you can expect that to be there for the real questions tomorrow. طيب, inshallah, when you guys are done with this question, we'll go over the answers and then we'll call it a day. Barakallah feekum. I do like to share with you some of the, for the stage 2 students, some of the notes from the teacher when he marked malhudat. He said some of the common mistakes made by stage 2 students. He said number 1, أكثر الطلاب يفصل بين حرف العطف والمعطوف. So when you have in Arabic wa, which means and, you should not put a space between wa and the following word. So wa is one of those words, there's no space between it and the following word. So keep that in mind. Another thing he said is أكثر الطلاب لا يدركون النكرة والمعرفة والتذكير والتأنيث, which is basically why I always tell you, pay attention to agreement. He said many students, they don't understand nakir and ma'rifa as in using the alif lam or not, and they don't understand مذكر and mu'annath. For example, he said الجامعة قريب. لا, it should be الجامعة قريبة. الجامعة قريبة. Or if it's in the actual sentence, I think it was الجامعة القريبة, because it's actually an adjective for جامعة. القريبة. So there should be agreement in terms of alif lam being used in al-jami'ah. It needs to be used for al-qaribah as well, and it needs to be feminine. His third point was بعض الطلاب لا يدركون التعدي بحرف الجر. For example, القريبة بيتهما, which is wrong. It should be القريبة من بيتهما. من بيتهما. Which is basically the usage of the huruf jar, which again, I assume they might have made that mistake because I didn't include it. But I didn't include it on purpose because I want the student to be able to figure out when and where to use the correct harf. Okay? Those were 3 points made by the Ustad that marked the homework. Okay. Let's check some of your answers. Okay, what do we have? كم طلب المؤجر تأجير معرضة أو معرضة كبيرة عام واحد. Whew, a lot of mistakes here. Number one, I do not know why you made ma'rid feminine. When I say to you agreement, and I said that clearly minutes ago, I said for the most part, agreement affects adjectives, the sifa. But the actual objects or persons or places or times, these are words that are either already feminine or masculine. They are the main words. So ma'rid is ma'rid. We don't have ma'ridah. That doesn't exist, ma'ridah. Showroom is showroom without a ta marbuta. It's a masculine word. But the adjective, you have two versions. You have a masculine adjective, you have a feminine adjective. So again, one of the biggest things I want you to practice here is to differentiate. And this is one of the main reasons why I've categorized the words. Because you need to understand the different word categories. Because like I said, this is the connection between vocabulary and grammar that a lot of people don't understand, which is the vocab, the word itself, the actual category it's part of, the word category is part of, plays a major role in how that word manifests itself in a sentence grammatically and what it can or can't do in a sentence grammatically. A lot of people overlook this. A lot of people, they just memorize vocabulary lists without knowing what kind of word they're dealing with. So it is very, very important, as is quite clear from this example, it's very important that you know the difference between a normal noun, concrete noun, or abstract noun, and an adjective. You have to know the difference. Why? Because adjectives, like we said, they follow these other nouns. They're just add-ons. They're just extras. Okay? But you can't take an actual noun, a concrete noun that has a meaning, yes, and then do what? Just add a ta marbuta to make it feminine like that. Ma'ridah is not an Arabic word. Ma'ridah, la. We have ma'rid, that is showroom. And then the adjective that follows it needs to be masculine. معرض كبير. نعم. كم طلب المؤجر. Okay, I can't see anyone saying لتأجير. And also this person, why are you saying Malik when I clearly said to you مؤجر? Okay, those are sometimes some of the silly mistakes that you need to pay attention to. I've given you the word over here. I've given you the words over here as well, which says مؤجر, and you're writing Malik. لا. Malik means possessor, na'am. It could be used as landlord as well, but not in this context because we're using mu'ajjir. And then you say salat al-ard. Why are you saying salat al-ard when I already gave you the word ma'rid? طيب, عموما, we have also كم طلب المؤجر للتأجير المعرض. لا. Again, the age-old same mistake. تأجير المعرض is مضاف إليه. So تأجير should not have alif lam. Okay? Al-Kabir is correct because it's what? An adjective. So it follows the ma'rid. But تأجير المعرض is مضاف إليه. So the first one should not have alif lam. كم طلب المؤجر التأجير المعرض. لا, لتأجير. I think this is the correct answer. كم طلب المؤجر لتأجير المعرض الكبير لعام واحد. نعم، لعام واحد. I think that's the correct answer. Bismillah. No, there's a mistake there. Okay, we have للعام الواحد. And this is the mistake that I've told you about. Nobody got it correct, by the way. اللهم المستعان. Um, للعام الواحد. Why للعام الواحد? Why not لعام واحد? Because the English says, um, it says live for a year. نعم, actually it should have been لعام واحد. Yeah, I thought it said yearly or something. طيب, so let me correct actually quickly so that we see who got it right. So we have كم طلب المؤجر لتأجير المعرض الكبير لعام واحد. I wrote, I don't know why. Okay. Okay, that's correct. And then the other one was, I think the difference was that this one, yeah, this one I didn't add a question mark. Just for those of you that might have forgotten to add a question mark, I didn't want to penalize you for it. Which is right, لعام واحد. And let's consider that to be a correct answer. So now let's see how many of you got it right. Bismillah. 7%. Okay, alhamdulillah. When you say 0%, you know that there's something wrong. كم طلب المؤجر لتأجير المعرض الكبير. I forgot the راء. Okay, so some of you actually didn't get it right. الكبير. Okay. Seems like I had deleted it by mistake. طيب. So that number, did it go up? No, it's still the same. طيب, كم طلب المؤجر لتأجير المعرض الكبير لعام واحد? Okay. So again, I've explained some of the mistakes here. معرض كبيرة. Again, why كبيرة? معرض is masculine. كبير needs to be masculine. لعام واحد. You see, for a year. You forgot لي. I should have made that red, by the way. كم طلب المؤجر? That's a spelling mistake. مؤجر should be written like this. You could have just copied and pasted this without making a mistake. نعم. Anyway, بارك الله فيكم. That was just an example, a test run, to show you what to look forward to, inshallah, for day 6. So these are day 6 words, by the way. بإذن الله الكريم. Okay? نعم. Yeah, I mean, for the whole year or for a year or yearly, they all mean the same thing. There's no difference. You're still going to rent the place for the whole year. Okay? Now, Assalamu alaikum, Ustad. I was able to memorize a portion of vocabulary, pass the quiz, but did not understand anything regarding the assignment. What can I expect from the grammar challenge? What you can expect from the grammar challenge is to learn that which will enable you to understand a lot next time when you're doing these assignments. So you're not expect to understand the assignments if you have not learned grammar before. I've explained that at the beginning and I'll keep on repeating it. This is number one. For those of you that have learned grammar before, to show you your level if you've actually learned proper grammar or not. And for those of you that haven't studied grammar before, to give you an opportunity to actually make mistakes and become more aware of these concepts so that when I explain it, it is not the first time you're hearing about it. And a lot of things will fall in place. It will make sense based on the mistakes you've made previously. And also, another important objective that I've shared with you guys is that it gives me an understanding of where your weaknesses are, what people are struggling with, what the common mistakes are, and that informs my instruction for the grammar challenge. I benefit from it a lot, so that when it comes to the grammar challenge, I know what to explain, what to focus on, and what you guys are most likely to struggle with, so that the grammar challenge becomes much more beneficial, and useful to you guys, my current audience, who have their own needs and their own intricacies, right? It's not personalized on a personal level, but is the next best thing, personalized to the group of students. Allah yahfadkum. Ameen, ameen. Jazakumullah khair. May Allah accept all of your good du'as. Barakallah fikum. Inshallah, looking forward to um, our lesson, probably day after tomorrow, I think. If I post it tomorrow, 24 hours for you to work on it, we're probably going to explain and do a similar session day after tomorrow. Hopefully by then, maybe the quiz should be ready, inshallah. And we're also still working on the games that you can use to keep yourself busy. The review sheets are out. There's one more type of review sheet that should be out tomorrow as well, which is the document for word relations that's going to have plurals, synonyms, and opposites for all of the 8 days. Okay, so I was working on that today, but then time ran out. Should be finished by tomorrow, inshallah. So you're going to have that as well. Then you can have the games. You already have Quizlet. I know you haven't had the writing assignments, I think, for day 5 to 8. I'm not sure if the brother has prepared that before he traveled. But slowly but surely, things will come together, inshallah. And if we manage to expand the team, then inshallah ta'ala, we can implement a lot of other good ideas that we have. And one of the main reasons I want to expand the team is because I came to realization that let alone implementing the ideas we have for the future, which are plenty, we're struggling with implementing what we've already promised you or what we have already shown you. So if that's the case, then it becomes clear that it's time to expand the team and have more hands on deck because time is limited. You see how things are progressing in the world. You see what's happening. We're not getting any younger, so now is the time. So the sooner Upskill Arabic comes to life, the sooner people start learning Arabic, the sooner uh, we will get to achieving language shift, inshallah. طيب. I'm a bit confused. Why doesn't he have the L just like the whole Sunday we did last time? Because um, last time when we were talking about the whole Sunday, that's what made sense. It could have those two meanings. Well, there. So, for example, he's saying to me, why doesn't it say للعام الواحد? Even though the correct answer was لعام واحد, for a year. Okay. If it did have alif lam, I would have translated it to how much did the landlord request for rent for the big showroom? Yearly. That's how I would have translated it. Okay. I wouldn't have written for a year, which gives the meaning, which gives the word a, which is indefinite article. I wouldn't have written that. That's why I translated it as for a year, and the correct answer was لعام واحد. So عام واحد, again, in Arabic, if it does not have an alif lam, there's no alif lam, that's when you can expect it to mean or a or an, the indefinite article. If it doesn't have alif lam. If it does have alif lam, then the options are many. It could mean the year, it could mean yearly, it could mean whatever, yani, right? The options are more because L has multiple meanings. But if it doesn't have L, that's when it would normally have a tanween. A tanween is a clear indication of indefinite article. So even though L could be a definite article, but it could also be something else. But tanween, more likely than not, if not always, I can't say to you always because I have not done that kind of research yet to be sure if there's exceptions to that rule or not. But I can tell you from experience that if there is a tanween, you can expect there to be an indefinite article, يعني a house, a dog, an apple, and so on and so forth. If there's a tanween, لعام واحد. Okay? But most people, they got the opposite. For them, if they see L, they think it's the. If they don't see L, right? For them, the default is tanween, as in they don't write the L. For them, the default is indefinite article. لا, it's the opposite. The default is that you write L in Arabic. That's the default. So expect to write an L, except if, like we said, is mudaf to an L, or except if it actually means indefinite. If the meaning is actually indefinite, as in it's a general statement, like I want to buy a house, any house. Okay, that's when you would not write the L. So again, you have to a little bit rewire your brain in order to grasp that concept. Maybe it's not easy to do so with my explanation theory, but it will be easy, inshallah, if you practice and practice and practice more. And bismillah, once we get to the grammar challenge, I'll try and get sentences where the only difference is what we're talking about, and then put those across as multiple choice questions so that you get exposed to the difference more often. Okay? نعم. طيب. بارك الله فيكم. طيب إن شاء الله نكتفي بهذا القدر. هذا والله أعلم، وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.